Hi everyone, Free Palestine here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new J. Cole album, The Off Season. This is the sixth full-length album from North Carolina native J. Cole. Yes, he is back, breaking studio album silence after a deadly pandemic year, underscored by a fiery summer of anti-police brutality protests, which ended up being the catalyst for a semi-beef he had with rapper, singer, songwriter No Name. The release of this record, though, is an interesting point in Cole's career, not just because of recent events, but also due to where he left us last. With what, in my opinion, was a pretty mixed record, KOD, an album that had a kind of preachy but unfocused concept, really awkward Kill Edward features that were just in fact Cole. But there were glimmers of hope in the shape of the closing track, which made for some fantastic meta-commentary on what trends in hip-hop these days and why. Cole as an artist has undoubtedly made his mark on this past decade. I've had my fair share of criticisms of just about everything he's dropped, but he still grew his profile, has proven his influence, and did much of it with no features, as the meme goes. Interestingly enough, though, this is a streak he feels comfortable breaking on this new project over here, right off the bat too, with a hyped up intro from none other than Dipset's own Cameron. And listen, miraculously, I think the off-season is worth a bit of a hype up, because I think this is one of Cole's better projects. Mostly for the same reasons this opening track is so compelling. Cole comes through with a solid beat, grand horn samples laced into it, confident delivery, slick bars, and lyricism that's focused on setting the record straight when it comes to his success and influence over the past decade. The beat combined with the rap style, Cameron, as well as the Lil Jon and the East Side Boys samples on the back end, showed to me that Cole is definitely a student of the 2000s. Obviously a student of hip-hop of all styles, but specifically trying to touch down on some of the best sounds of that era in a way. And honestly, I like this version of Cole. I like this a lot. When he drops the woke pretense, I feel like he just focuses on what he does well and does it. And look, obviously I'm not against the idea of somebody making conscientious or socially charged music, but typically when Cole tends to drop music under the banner of some grand observation or statement, it doesn't really live up to the hype. And not to say the off-season is a shallow project, far from it. There are plenty of personal, contemplative corners throughout the track list here. But when Cole does go deep on this project, he's very good about doing it in a way that relates directly to his own personal experiences. Even going vulnerable without getting painfully embarrassing, too. Not only that, but the handful of features on this record bring some much-needed versatility to the track list as well. And frankly, this is something Cole should have been doing, especially since his singing on past records has only gotten him so far, but even that has markedly improved on the off-season. Now, to take it back to the opener, this is a hard-hitting start for the project where Cole essentially shows by example why he is in the position that he's in. And I'm loving lyrical highlights on this track, like the M on your head, you Luigi brother now line, as well as shells on the ground, Easter Bunny would be proud. The opening line on this track is Cole saying that this, what he's doing, is too easy for him now, and in a way it sounds like it, especially as vocally he turns up the heat on the back end with a splash of auto-tune on his voice. But even though, again, this is a strong start to this LP, the rest of the journey here is not without its potholes. Amari features one of the most relentless flows on the entire LP, and the melodic lines Cole hits are pretty great too, but there's not a whole lot of structure to this track. I mean, as far as how it's formed and plays out, it feels like a really loose but impassioned freestyle. There are other songs here that I think could have been built out as well, like Punchin' the Clock, which does hit pretty hard in the length that it lasts, but I'm thinking of just how much more impact it would have if it had a strong hook or a second verse. It's also one of a few moments here that features these ghostly, low-key, hypnotic, entrancing beats. The song Applying Pressure delivers this same vibe as well. It kind of feels like a more concrete version of Kendrick Lamar's Yeah. In a way, I'm also reminded of Outkast's ATLiens record in that you have a lot of spacey, somewhat chill, laid-back beats with on top of that very upfront food for thought style lyricism. Plus, some of the rhyme schemes on this track, round crack vials and cold-blooded killers no reptiles, just projectiles from dudes salty you rockin' the fresher textiles. I can cap and say that I never scratched my jealousy's itch, but thank God I conquered that, cause if not, I'd never be rich. So while I do have some slight issues with a few of the tracks on this LP, my least favorite by a mile easily is 100 Mil. Money and having made a lot of money, especially while being true to who he is a recurring theme throughout this project, but this particular song is a huge reminder that money cannot buy everything. Like the nasally, insipid sung auto-tune vocals on the front end of this track are awful, the beat is very plain and wonkily mixed. J. Cole wants to convince you on this track that he's made 100 mil, but he's still on his grind, and frankly, I wish he had grinded it out a little bit more on this song because it doesn't sound great. So listen, in my opinion, the first half of this project is a little spotty, but thankfully after this, things do pick up and pick up pretty hard. Pride is the Devil I was a little on the fence with at first, mostly because of the somber guitar lick that is sampled in the beat, which if you're a hip-hop head, you should already be familiar with thanks to its use in the Amine song Can't Decide that got released recently. It's the same exact producer on both songs as well. Either way, again, this had me on the fence at first, but as I listened to this Cole track multiple times, I ended up being pretty impressed by the fact that there is so much lyrical focus around Pride itself throughout the song. Smooth transition as well into a great Lil Baby feature. Yes, there is a great Lil Baby feature on this track where he is rapping his ass off. Not that I've never heard a good feature from the guy, I have, but he really did go above and beyond a little bit here and did his best to match Cole's energy. Then there is Let Go My Hand, which is possibly the most confessional moment on this project, with Cole diving pretty deep into themes of self-doubt, also his son growing up, which leads him into a diatribe about how, as he was a kid growing up, he was afraid of fighting, getting hurt, getting killed, not being as hard as he needed to pretend to be in order to get through numerous obstacles in life. There's also a portion of the track where he goes over drama in the hip-hop world that he now knows too much about because he is so deeply ingrained into it, mentioning also this fight, this beef that he had with Diddy at one point that's been plastered all over headlines since this thing came out. Between Cole's solid rapping, the very laid-back hypnotic beat, as well as Black's fantastic and smooth vocal harmonies, this track is entrancing and thought-provoking. The interlude is not a bad spot on the LP. I thought it made for a decent teaser to the record, certainly showed Cole is hungry lyrically and vocally, but it's not necessarily my favorite song on the project, and once again it does show that there's definitely room for Cole to kind of move and grow on this project. I think he left himself a lot of unnecessary space here. He really could have built some of these songs out. I mean, the entire thing is just 39 minutes, which isn't the most scant project, but he's had more robust records in the past. Still, we do get the climb back, a 5-minute cut that was a single released last year at some point back when Cole was still set to release The Fall Off. Lyrically, this is easily one of the most grimy and grim songs Cole has ever put out. Regardless of the album project changes, whatever, I'm glad that this song did find a home on a Cole album of some sort because it is that good. It is great to hear bars again like I flip like exclamation points, as well as light the city up like the sun had the night shift, but still, moments like in the PC culture, call me the goat, yeah, that's kind of questionable, along with that sofa sectional line, which I don't think went over quite as well as J. Cole assumed it did. Oh, also, I cannot forget, I ain't with that sleeping underground like a gopher, so I go for mine. Ugh, why, oh my god, why? You know, lines like these used to be like throughout all Cole projects from front to back, and here on the off season they are a rarity, and I most definitely appreciate that. The song Close on the back end of this record is a lyrically clever moment as Cole raps about proximity to loved ones, enemies, his goals, the achievements he would like to make. There is a passionate string-kissed closer on this record as well, where Cole delivers some good singing too. But sadly, this song doesn't really deliver a big conclusion that ties up the many personal themes of this record. If you could sum up this album in any way thematically, I think it would be that it's not so much a grand statement, it's really more of just like a peek into the ongoing Cole saga. This track very much brings a tone of, hey, me, you're doing fine as I could hope. Let's just keep this going. Now, I did enjoy this LP, but I wonder past this point, what will Cole's future record shape up to be with him now having achieved so much commercially? Not to say that creatively Cole has reached this inevitable dead end. I don't think that's the case, but I think if he's really going to push beyond and put out more records, he needs to either dig deeper artistically, take more risks, or just address and get into more personal experiences as his life grows and changes and he matures, considering how well that has panned out here. Feeling a light to decent 7 on this one, Tran. Zishin, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe. And please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, J. Cole, forever.